good afternoon, everyone, and welcome aboard your sunset vehicle for today. Now, in case you haven't already figured, we do have sleepy Hosana male leopard right in front of us in the ditch of the dam, sleeping as usual and getting away from the cold, cool wind of this chilly day. Now, my name is Lauren, and on camera today I have Marcel, and we have been with Hosana for about 45 minutes now on a school drive, and he really hasn't moved a muscle or a paw. He's obviously deep in a very comfortable sleep. So let's go back across to Hosana. And this broadcast here today has been brought to you by Medicinal. And of course, hopefully, we can bring many interesting sightings to you. And hopefully, at some point, Hosana will get up. But of course, we're live and interactive. We're here right now as it's happening. So please do send in your comments and questions using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream. And we, of course, will do our very best to answer them. Now, I didn't actually know Hosana was here. We came down here hoping to find him, of course. I believe there had been some impala alarm calling, but he hadn't actually been spotted on the dam cam, I believe. We didn't really know he was definitely here, but of course this is his usual spot, if you like, his usual haunt. So it was a pretty good chance that we were going to go bump into him, and both Marcel and I were having a chat, driving along, and of course we just said, oh, leopard. On the ground. Fast asleep. Not hidden or camouflaged in any way, just lying sprawled out at the bottom of the dam wall. And there you have it. Doesn't care who sees him. Even if the impala are shouting at him or the birds are alarming, he doesn't bother, does he? I tried so hard to find him last night. We must have looped this area about 6 times during drive because we knew he was somewhere. We just couldn't figure out where. And Tristan and Conrad had said to me they saw his tracks. He'd been right through our camp as usual. So we figured he was just heading on down here, his usual spot. But he had obviously headed on down to Treehouse, and Steve luckily bumped into him. So I did try really hard yesterday, and of course today when I'm not actively trying, we just bump into him. Look at him. Oh, this cat makes me laugh. We will stay with them, of course, for a little while, but I would like to have a scratch around and just see if I can pick up on any tracks of others, because as we keep saying, I think I even mentioned on my walk this morning, there's a lot of leopard activity around right now, a lot. They are all around Tungana, the skittish male, Hukumuri, Shidulu, Tandi, Tlalamba. That is a lot of female leopards, females and males. So at some point we might get up, we might have a little scratch around, not go too far, of course, and we will come right back. Because he's not looking too full, so I do imagine that he will get up and he will be hungry at some point. So, of course, it's not just me out today, as usual. We're going to stay with Sleepy Hosana, but we're going to send you across to Steve on the bushwalk.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the top of a termite mound where we have found some dwarf mongoose poo. They like to sit up on top of these termite mounds and, well, probably enjoy the view while they groom each other and, also live inside. So anyway, hello, everybody. I'm Steve, joined by Craig once again, and we are doing a very interesting today called Medicinal Wednesdays, because I've been trying to do Medicinal Monday for 2 weeks, and unfortunately it has not worked out. So I've found a sample of a wonderful tree, beautiful, beautiful tree. I cut my finger in the process of harvesting this branch earlier, but we are in the process of searching for another one in the area that I know of, and it is known as the jacket plum. Now, the jacket plum is quite easy to identify in that it's got sort of these clustered leaves. Sound. It's not me. Hello? Have you got me back, Lou? the jacket plum? Sorry, everybody. So these leaves, don't look at a jacket plum and go, it has to have the jagged nature. You can see right there again, it doesn't have the jagged nature, but the leaves are quite tough. Regard them as quite tough and almost sclerophyllous, which means that they stay on the plant for a long time, but they are very, very tasty and are browsed by many, many animals, including livestock. Should we have a taste? Very tough, like a leather jacket. Very easy to remember. I remember trying to show someone who couldn't quite understand how to identify this tree, and you see the bottom of the veins. They are very rough, like a big biker dude with tattoos would have. Big veins on his body because he wears a leather jacket, and he's also big and strong. So leathery, tough leaves, and we're going to see if we can find another tree in this area. Now, to have a look at the tree, we need to find out where are we going to find it. And I took a photo of my tree book. Where is it? To see where in the landscape we are going to find this lovely tree. And there is the landscape. We are in the granitic soils here, so mid-slope, crest, brackish areas, and plains. So they're also quite unusually associated with termite mounds. So the jacket plum, also known as the indaba tree, is part of the lychee family. Some people call it lychee. Very, very tasty fruits, very tasty seeds that... And we're going to break it down in... We're going to have to break it down into all sorts of different parts because it's quite a medicinal tree occurring almost throughout southern and east Africa. And it's a very nice shady tree. And the one we'll find for you, and it's got lots of shade. We can sit underneath there. We can take our jackets off and hang it on. We can sit down. And indaba basically means like a meeting. Everybody comes together and you sit down under this tree. When you go down into the Cape in the Karoo area, that's one of the only trees you find there with beautiful shade. You can sit down underneath it. Is a beautiful, beautiful tree for sitting and doing all sorts of other things that we're going to get to. So the name jacket plum, the Papia capensis, named after Carl Pappy, who was a plant collector many, many years ago, and capensis means from southern Africa. So we're going to mission on through here somewhere. There's a termite mound along there, which I think has got the tree we're looking for. And while we do that, let's go to Trish, who's still on the search for those lions.
I think I am a plum in a jacket, so I'm a jacket plum too. Darby says I'm full of jokes today. I am. All the dad types. But lovely introduction there. My name is Trishala and Darby on camera, and we are at Chitwa. Chitwa. So nice. You got to say it twice. Thank you, Darby, for coming up. No, it's fine. Darby just ignored me and put his head down. So we are looking for lions. It's been a bit of a mission. We have some other vehicles that have been helping us with it too, because they have moved from their spot and there are tracks leading eastward. But these guys here, I'm hoping, will give us an indication of where these lions could be, because they're somewhere around here, hopefully, and they haven't crossed too far east and out of Chitwa, because we wouldn't want that, would we? We'd love to see them. And these guys are looking fairly... Okay. Can you see him? Can you see him there? He's the one calling. He's the one alarm calling. What a sweet guy. He's letting all the females go while he stands guard there and alarm calls. Do it again. I want to see where you're facing. So alarm calls are what indicates that there's a predator around. So that is a really, really good indication. So let us go down a little bit here, see if we can see what that impala is seeing. There he goes, there's somewhere here. Oh, this block is full of strychnos, which is definitely not nice for off-roading. I'm just gonna actually hang back here because I don't want them to think that they've got a threat coming from different sides. So let them run off. if that's what they need to do. He looked like he was looking to the other side of that mound, which is where I think we need to go in a bit. But like I said, the last thing these guys want to do is feel threatened from that side and then associate that sound with this vehicle or anything like that, and then they get extra spooked and jump away. We don't want that, especially a little one like you. Always the youngest, the sick, and the elderly are the vulnerable. They're darting off ahead of us as well, but I suppose they're just feeling a bit skittish, a bit unsure. There's a few looking off to the left again. Keeping guard. I hope this little one makes it to Mum, because like I said, that is the one to take, really. There's one female still looking off in the distance. Saseka, thank you very much. I hope that I'll be able to receive your wave as well. Saseka says that she or he, I'm not sure, will be at Chitwa. What is it, in October? October time, that's a lovely time to be here. You can wave at us. Maybe you'll even see us on the damn wall. I'm sure you will. I hope you have a great time as well. And you can see the action that happens at Chitwa too. Now these guys were looking in that direction, but now they've got their heads down, guys. What is going on? Well, you see, this is not actually uncommon, because what will happen, I'm going to pass around this side of the mound, because that's where they were alarming from. It's not actually uncommon for impala to bark and alarm call at something, and then once it's been acknowledged, it will carry on eating there, because it knows that the element of surprise is gone. Anyway, I'm going to make my way down here. Let's see what we find. In the meantime, Lauren has already found that special somebody, so let's go over to her and Hosana.
I really do hope Trish finds the lion. She's desperate to see them. So hopefully she will be in luck today, because the tracks are absolutely everywhere. So our boy here kind of moved, 90 degrees to the other side. And he almost looks like a seal, a leopard print seal, just lying there with his little paw curled up, and his face looking upwards is absolutely adorable. Oh, Hosana, Hosana. Now you can really see Hosana's whiskers here. I actually had a conversation the other day about the eyebrow whiskers. Browskers, I think we all agreed to call them in the end. But of course, Hosana, whiskers are extra long, because all leopards are. They have really long whiskers for a reason, because they're known as vibrissae, and they are actually tactile sensory organs. So why they're there and what they help them do is basically, during the night time, they obviously have very good eyes in the dark, but it is still dark, and their vision is different from what they see during the day. So having whiskers actually allows them to sort of have a sense of how tight a gap is. For example, if he's maybe going through two really tightly packed trees, these whiskers are sort of a sensory organ that will allow him to know whether he can actually fit through a particular size gap. So it is actually an important adaptation that he has for moving around in the darkness. Now, of course, there are many other. They are very adapted to nighttime. That's why they are nocturnal predators. But all these small little adaptations that he has helps him navigate through the land at the night during nighttime, which of course us humans do not have. I definitely do not have good vision in the dark, or sensory organs, or anything at night time. But of course he does, and these whiskers really do help him out quite a bit. And of course, these browskers. I can't remember which one of you it was that suggested that, but it's fantastic. I love it. He does have hair above his eyes too, just where we have his eyebrows. Marcel and I were just talking. I've seen Hosana, but this is the best look I've had at him. Stephen is saying, give him a tickle. Do you know, I would love to. I think James made a fantastic video the other day, or I think it was live, where he was obviously appearing to, he looked like he was stroking Hosana, and of course he wasn't. It was a very clever camera angle, and oh, what I would do. Can you imagine just cuddling up, being the little spoon, and lying right in front of that cat? Would you do it, Marcel? Marcel's laughing. I would. No, of course I wouldn't, but it does sound rather dreamy. He is in that perfect spooning position. Look at him. But I don't think he would respond too well to a tickle, Stephen, but I see where you're going with that. Poor thing would get the fright of his life. However, he's just been walking through our camp, and we know every morning we wake up and we're like, oh, Hosana's been. We know his track. We know his roots. We know that he absolutely loves coming through our camp. He's known it since he was a cub. But, you know, he just walks through it like it's nothing. I've had many, many experiences with our Hosana cat in camp. And when we wake up, it's very, very dark. So I wake up at about 4:45 now that we've changed the time of drive. And obviously we don't go anywhere without a torch. It's very, very, very important that you move around in the dark with a torch. It's imperative. And just the fright you will get from the little bush bucks that are there. Tons of bush bucks around our camp, and they will just get the fright of their life to see you coming out. You get the fright to see them coming out, and oh yeah, it happens every single morning. You think I would be used to it by now, but of course I am not. And there's the paw that makes all these tracks. So when we were actually tracking this morning, we were looking at whose tracks we thought were Shadulu's. And we were talking about, you know, how we know and how we can differentiate between tracks and sizes and patterns. And you start to learn. And Davi proceeded to tell me that Shadulu actually has an X on her track. So I, being naive, went on to think, well, maybe she's injured her paw and there's some sort of injury that when she actually puts her paw down on the ground, there's some sort of X. Of course, he was teasing me because her name begins with X, Shadulu. And then when he went on to say that Hukumuri has an H, I realised that I had been entirely fooled by this ridiculous joke. So maybe Hosana does have a little H under there as well. So every time he steps on the ground, you can see H, 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 H. Alrighty, so we are going to stay with Hosana a little bit longer, but we may move soon to let other vehicles in. And while we stay here, we're going to send you across to Spotlight Steve.
Thanks, Lauren. Well, we've managed to find a fantastic Indaba tree, bush-felt cherry, the jacket plum, part of the lychee family. And, well, no fruits on this tree because, well, they've all been eaten. Generally, your fruit you can find December to July, and the flowers September to May, which provide a very, very sweet-scented flower, which is great for attracting insects. And obviously, the fruits then provide lots of many birds. So the fruits are very, very delicious and juicy. And we can make things like jelly, preserve, and even as far as alcohol. So this tree can get between 2 and 8 meters. And you can see this is just one example of ones we find here in the Kruger. They get hammered by elephants. So they form a very nice canopy. So very nice shade tree, and with all the other medicinals we're going to discuss in a little while, you can imagine this being out in the open landscape as a shade tree would be perfect for the shepherd, for the goat herder, for the hunter-gatherer that was moving through the landscape many, many, many years ago. So what we're going to do is we're going to harvest some bark now and also some of the leaves, and then we're going to put that together into my little mixture over there for a little bit of a reveal in a short time. But the wood itself is quite hard and quite yellow and was used here. I just broke a piece over here. I'm trying to harvest some. Have a look at how yellow that is over there. hard and yellow, and used for making utensils and poles, even furniture, if you can get big enough pieces. And that's possibly why we don't find as many of them now. But very slow growing tree, but is pretty much easily cultivated. So the plant itself is actually also a very important larval food for a couple of butterflies. I'm just going to show you them quickly. And remember the names, of course. There's 3 beautiful butterflies here that I'll show you on my lovely book. Oopsie. There we go. Ooh, I've forgotten which one that is now. Okay, very good. Okay, so here we've got the lovely common, no, sorry, this is the pearl spotted at the bottom. Pearl spotted emperor at the bottom there. 4A, 4B. Very good. Sorry, let's get this in a right position. I took some photos. So I didn't have to carry my very big book. Let me actually get, oh, hang on. I had the wrong photo for you. There we go. There is the pearl spotted emperor at the bottom. How's that, Craigie?
You can tilt it up like so. No, like, yeah.
Pearl spotted emperor. So very nice larval food. We were talking about larval food. Butterflies will land on these trees and will lay their eggs, and then the eggs will survive through all the caterpillar stages. And this beautiful one at the bottom is a very nice example of such a nice butterfly. And I'll scan quickly to get you the other one. I've taken very bad photos. And then here we go. We've got the brown playboy at the top. Brown playboy, which is also a very nice butterfly for this tree. Oh, some birds are not very happy over there. The chin spot battus. He's shouting over here. You probably can't hear him. There he is, Craigie, just through here. So talking about, he's just over here on the branch. Talking about this tree as well from a larval food, it's also a very good tree for building nests in. Birds will love to build nests in here because it's quite an inaccessible tree to climb. And so it's got so many uses. Not only do we hide in here, there we go, there's a little parliament of battuses happening here with their bills snapping. Now, they would be individuals that would actually move around a tree and feed on some of the larval caterpillar stages that are growing on a tree like this. And some of them would be food, maybe even as early just after the first spring rains. They'll be able to sort of spend some time in here. So well done for catching that, Craigie. So we're going to harvest some bark and some leaves of this tree, because then I'm going to set up a little bit of a tea station and make you some decoctions. But on a nice day like this, it's difficult to really see what kind of shade this will provide. But have a look at how big it is compared to me at the moment. The termite mound is providing nice nutrients and nice purchase. There are some roots available, so I would be able to harvest some of these roots, but I'm not going to do it purely because the only means of medicinal value I'm going to get out of these roots is an enema. Craig, do you want to try an enema today? He's shaking his head. And it can also be used as a purgative for cattle. So an enema is when you stick something into something's bottom and it causes it to come out. And then a purgative is when you ingest something and it causes you to vomit and might also cause you to poo yourself. So we're not going to be doing any of that today, as we do still have to walk home. And Craig's not looking very excited about me creating any of those lovely tonics for him. But we will be doing some more over there once we harvest some of these. So let's get some of the leaves, which are nice and leathery, as we said. And bearing in mind, when you do identify trees, that's the very good example of one of the leaves when they are younger. As they get older, they lose that. So we're going to harvest this, get some bark, and we come back to us. We'll start setting up for our medicinal madness on this Wednesday. Well, let's go to Trish, who seems very excited about the use of the word enema.
Trish has bad news. Darby and I have just... Oh, hello, kudos. Let's say hello to them first. And then as you look at them and get happy, I'll tell you the bad news. The bad news is that the lions have left Chitwa and they are on Cheetah Plains, where we cannot go. It is very unfortunate. It's very sad because I really wanted to see them. But hey, at least I get to see these ones. Now that female has a very thin tail and it is revealing her very sore looking butt. But I suppose that's how it always looks. It's just that there's a lot more hair to cover it in general. If you look at the little one's bum, there's quite a big tuft. And you can see when she flicks her tail, even this one, but the eldest one there, looks like she's lost a bit of hair on that tail. I wonder if it is the doing of that oxpecker there, because it looks a bit dodgy. Yes, you do, mister. I have seen them pull out skin to the point where they've actually... Oh, there's even a male just way, way, way beyond. I don't know if you can see him, Darby. You can see his tail flicking about. There we go, and he's got lovely horns. You can just see the horns through the bush. Now, I love seeing animals like this because this is a truly natural environment. Looking at them through these bushes, it's just beautiful. Oh well, there you got a pleasant picture, even though we had some bad news. But that's okay. I'm going to head back on to Djuma now. Actually, I'm going to make a stop at the dam as usual. We can have a chat there, and then I'll be back on Djuma, and we can see what we'll do when we return. I'm going to move a little bit forward because I always love to see a male kudu in all its glory, and you can sort of just see the horns peeking out there, and I do love them. Oh, look at that! So beautiful. You are stunning. So, like I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I am apparently a talking head again. Or not a talking head, somehow separated from everything and disjointed and not in sync. And I do apologize for it. But our lovely director Lou will sort it out in a moment. Anyway, let me send you over to Lauren with Hosana Boy again while I try to get my act together.
Hosana is indeed up. We just repositioned to get a much better view for you. And in typical fashion... Oh! Toilet stop. So there is another vehicle here just in case you can hear. But Hosana is doing the toilet. At least he's up and about. The kids actually wanted to see his eyes, and I couldn't believe it. I quickly scrolled through my phone and I didn't find any photos of Hosana. And I have got billions on my camera, but I obviously just didn't have them on my phone. So I will need to rectify that immediately. There we go. Toilet time is finished, and we are going to wander off into the worst position, and Lauren is now going to have to reposition. There you go. You can see, oh, he's twitching. He's twitching. I'm just going to try and go forward a bit here and see if we can see him through the thicket. Oh, he's on the move. I'm just trying to figure out where he's going. He's hungry, I can tell you that much. We are on top of the dam wall because I thought it would be delightful to give you all a view of his gorgeous face rather than his bottom. So now we've made it even more difficult for us. All right, sorry, I'm just reversing and making sure I don't kill Marcel. Have I got more room before we crash over this wall? Righty, oh, so we're now going to have to go all the way back down to where we originally were and actually see where our boy is off to. All right, Marcel. It's going to be me that gets whacked with this tree this time. Ooh. Last time it was Marcel, so it is actually my turn. It was on the other side when we came in. Just let me move this. We all good?
Yep.
Oh, crikey. There we go. Marcel, are you still alive? Yes, good. Alrighty, typical Hosana, just to get up. just as you perfectly position up on the wall here. Okay, we're going to go down and follow him. Oh, there you are, boy. This is a much better view. Oh, that was worth the bashing around for. Okay, there is another vehicle here, so I am just going to pull up here. Can you work with this, Marcel?
Yeah.
There we go. Perfectly poised. The prince. Because the weather is actually really not great today. It wasn't great this morning. It's not great now. There's a wind in the air. It's overcast. I feel he's going to wake up a little bit earlier and maybe start to think about hunting for food. He does not have that full belly. He's nowhere near full. So I think normally the cats wait till a little bit later, but because it is so overcast and cool, I think he might start looking for food a little bit earlier tonight. Now you guys tell me what you would like me to do, please. I'm a little bit torn. Should we stay with the boy, our boy, my boy? Or should we bumble along? I was planning on checking in at the Hyenas just for a little while. I just want to see who's there and say hello, my usual. Or should we stay with Hosana? Tell me what you would like to do, because it's such a huge decision. And of course, normally when he's flat's cat, it makes the decision a little bit easier to go. But now that he's a little bit more alert, it makes the decision much harder for me. So you guys tell me exactly what you would like me to do. Should I stay or should I go now? I'm a really terrible singer, so I won't continue that. But he's just given us the most perfect view of him right now. It's going to make it very, very hard for me to go. But I could always bumble on into the Hyenas and come back again. So I think Lou's checking on what you're all telling me to do. Yes, apparently a couple of you have noticed a little sort of scar on his chin. We actually noticed that earlier during the school drive, and I think Lou even mentioned it looks like a little teenager was nicked himself shaving for the first time. But yes, he does seem to have something under his chin. So what I'm hoping, and I can't say this too loud, is that if the vehicle in front of us does decide to move, then we can swoop on in and get a much better look at his face and his chin with his eyes open. But as for the moment, they definitely have the better view, I'm afraid. But hopefully they'll move off soon and we can go. I really didn't expect to find Hosana before drive. Me and Marcel got such a fright. But of course, now that we're with him, it's hard to leave him. All the viewers are saying I should stay with Hosana. Is that right, Lou? Well, I shall do as you please, and I shall stay with Hosana. Since I tried so hard to actually find him last night. Oh my goodness, 92% saying stay. Okay, here's the deal. I will stay with Hosana as long as I can keep up with him. And tomorrow evening, I think I'm off in the morning. Tomorrow evening I will go bumbling and spend time with my little Hyenas. The Juma clan have been very difficult to keep up with recently, but I really want to spend some time with them. So, alrighty, today's all about Hosana. When is it not? It's amazing. I think I have shared with many of you that my brother had twins. So they're now getting much older and they're so chubby and adorable. And they know Hosana. They're crazy about my dog. They're crazy about animals. And we put Hosana on the TV for them. And they just go crazy for him. Anna, 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 Anna. So they've obviously not quite worked out the name yet, but they're getting there. Anna, Anna, Anna is very, very cute. So Hosana's a lot more famous than you even realise, or than even he realises. He really lights up a lot of hearts. And that feeling I get when I find him, you know, it is quite overwhelming. We've got a lot of love for the animals here. And some people say, you know, why do you give them so many silly nicknames? You know, I called Ribbon Rib Robs and Hosey Boy and Tingy and, you know, all these crazy nicknames we have. And it's a sign of affection. The more you get to know someone in human terms, you generally tend to sort of give them little nicknames, or you shorten their name, or, you know, as you get to know someone in camp, as many of you do know, we have crazy nicknames for each other. And that is because, well, we're like a family here. We all know each other. Most of the nicknames, I can tell you. Some of them I can't. But it's the same with the animals. We just spend so much time out here. We get to know them. We get to understand their movements and their little facial expressions. That you do just eventually adopt nicknames. I have about 20 different nicknames for my dog, and she answers to every single one. And I don't think it's that she actually recognizes her name. I think she just knows the tone. She understands the tone of when I am actually calling on her. So she answers. Or it's just wishful thinking. Lauren speaking could be at me, and it could either mean a walk or a treat. So it could be wishful thinking. But anyway, she answers to all of them. Alrighty. I've got a very, very, very long comment there. You know what, Luke, give it one more time. It was a very long one, not a short comment. We'll go take a closer look at Hosana. I think it's much more appealing to look at him than it is me. A deal, okay, deal from Beth. We will spend with Hosana now, and then tomorrow hyenas. Okay, deal. I'm on board with that. I think it's a pretty good deal. Hopefully the hyenas are around. I'm trying really hard to keep up with them, but I do feel they're scattering and making it slightly difficult for us. But yes, I promise you I will stay with Hosana this evening. Even if he gets up and we have to go bunda bashing, that is what we will do. I haven't heard any update on Tingana's presence. I tried to find out earlier. We're assuming that he is possibly north in Buffelshoek. But we don't know. I was actually going to bumble on towards Buffelshoek Dam, which is of course on Juma. But now that we've found this boy, we're going to stay right here with him. And what I found so amazing about spending time with Hosana is he actually defies a lot of the things you read in the textbook. You know, his behaviour, what he's done with these little vacations, staying in his father's territory, his interactions with his father, and just generally spending time in the same area. Since I came here, we find Hosana in the same spots. He obviously loves routine. And he loves to just hang out in the same spots day in, day out. He obviously feels very comfortable around here, very comfortable walking through camp. It's just obviously his hangout spots. It's where we've always seen him, and I imagine it's where we're going to see him for some time to come. But just spending so much time with this leopard is such a privilege, and we really have learned lots and lots that you don't necessarily see in all these textbooks. I have a mountain of textbooks, and not one of them describes the behaviour that we have witnessed recently in Hosana. Maybe we should write our own textbook on Hosana. That might be my next mission. Alrighty, I believe we may need to move over to allow this vehicle to pass. Let me just check out what the vehicle's doing. Come on, mister, what are you doing? Nope, obviously not. I think they were just repositioning to get a better view, so we don't have to move anywhere, thank goodness. I'm not really up for bunda bashing through right now. Hosana's obviously perfectly poised, which is absolutely ideal for me. I really wish we could get his face. We will get it soon. Hopefully we can squeeze right in there and get a good look at his face soon. And then I can take a photo of his eyes, and then I will have it on my phone for future use. Okay, scrap that plan. That's probably not going to happen because we are going back to sleep. So that beautiful view of his face that I was really hoping for is most likely not going to happen. Oh, we might get an upside down one. Oh boy. We're actually right in the area of the dam cam. We're just on the other side of the dam. So it's probably completely out of view of the actual camera itself. But he's still in the same area. We were just about to drive over the dam wall when we actually came across him. Now don't forget to send in all your questions and comments. I will do my very, very best to answer them all. Of course, a lot of you ask about Hosana's future, and it's something we talk about a lot, and it's just, we just don't know. A lot of us predicted he wouldn't come back from Londolozi. Many of us actually thought, no, he's gone missing, and he's not coming back. And yet he did. So, of course, it all hangs in the balance of this little cat and what he actually does decide to do. So, we are going to stay with him, as I promised you all. And while we do that, we're going to send you across to Spotlight Steve for his medicinal tip of the day.
Thanks, everybody. And, well, we are all ready. And I did not forget my apron this day, because last time I did, everybody got very upset. Beautiful Papia capensis, jacket plum, part of the lychee family. I wish we had some fruit for you today to taste. But we're set up on the ground over here. Let's take a seat. Okay. So, the jacket plum, Papia capensis. We've gone and harvested some lovely leaves over here. New and old, different degrees. Craig has been very helpful today and has chopped some up for me over there. So there's some very nice chopped leaves. And then I've managed to harvest a little bit of bark. So by harvesting the bark, I've just basically cut it directly off of the wood here. And you can see the wood. It's pretty strong. It's pretty sturdy. A lovely aroma to it. Lovely, lovely aroma. You can imagine easily making certain implements and tools out of this. Utensils, a wooden spoon, anything like that. It's quite hard. Not that hard, but it's hard enough. Okay, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to get my kettle boiling. I do always bring hot water with so that it boils quicker. And essentially what you could do with this is we've got the bark and we've got the leaves. So I'm going to make a very small bark infusion. Now, infusion of bark is basically some bark like that in some hot water. I'm only going to make a small one because I want to leave the rest for my decoction. And I'm just going to pour some in there and we're just going to steep it like we would any sort of tea. Okay, because that water was boiled. I'm going to take this one off. That's going to start boiling soon. I'm going to throw my leaves in there. Decoction is 8 to 10 minutes on the boil. Throw the rest of my bark in there. Give it a little stir. Lovely stuff. All of the goodness out of that. And then we'll look at the colors. We'll look at all the things that come out of there. So the seeds themselves have actually been made into very nice oil and a lubricant. And some people have even said so much as to apply them to your head. It's a yellowish, fragrant oil. Apply them to head in case of baldness. That's very, very interesting. And some people have gone as far as to even use it as a lubrication for rifles. Watch out, Craigie, there's a branch behind you. For rifles and things like that. And obviously, whatever else you might need to lubricate. Out here in the wilderness, maybe your camera equipment, Craigie, you need to lubricate? Not really. Maybe some machine parts and things like that. But sure, back in the day, there wasn't too much needed for lubrication. So we're going to just let this tea stir over here. And then we're going to let this boil. And then I'm going to let you know exactly what comes about of the medicinal properties out of that. But what can also be done, there's some magical charms, apparently, for warding off evil spirits. Some tribes have actually used some ground bark from the Papia capensis and sprinkling it on the ground for some magic charms to sort of keep away evil spirits. How exactly that works, I'm not really sure. But placebo effect, I suppose, if you do something, you believe it's so, it's going to keep them away. Like a bushveld gardenia, you plant one of these outside your homestead, keeps away evil spirits. I suppose you've just got to buy into these things sometimes. And bearing in mind that the whole reason behind me doing this medicinal of what we used to do back in the day, and bearing in mind that whatever cures and ailments we come up with today are at your own discretion. Don't go home and chop down all your jacket plums and decide you're going to cure all the ailments in the world. If you have some chronic diseases, please make sure you keep to your doctor's recommendations of medicine. Don't go and change according to what Steve on TV told you once upon a time. Okay, so we're going to need about 8 minutes or so to let this boil. But you can already see that it's starting to take the active ingredients out of there. And I mentioned before that you could make an enema and a purgative for cattle out of the roots. So that's quite useful, I suppose, if your cattle's having some problems or maybe colic or what it might be. You get all this sort of nonsense out of your cattle so that, they can be useful cows in the wilderness. Wouldn't that be nice? Another element that we've got with this plant, I don't really know how it works, but they reckon the leaves are very effective at killing snails. Now, how that works exactly, maybe you chop this up and like salt, you sprinkle it around your flower beds, keep the snails away. I'm really not sure. But they don't taste very good to me. Very dusty, very dirty. But they are browsed by many, many animals. Okay, so we're going to wait for all of this to brew and simmer. Kremlin's General, you know if they're similar to bay leaves, they're very tough and leathery, just like a bay leaf would be, but they don't have the same fragrance inside, as far as I'm going to get some steam on your lens there, Craig. They don't have the same fragrance inside that I've noticed with the bay leaves. The bay leaves, those of you who don't know what a bay leaf is, you can take this or bay leaf and throw it into your cooking, and it really adds a very nice flavor into a stew or a curry. But I don't know. We'll taste it just now. We'll be eating some or drinking some shortly. Craig has put his hand up and said he wants to be first in line to drink my tea. Didn't you, Craig? No, he didn't. Most of the guys are quite scared. Even Herbie's getting quite scared of my decoctions out here and my mixtures. But I'm sure we'll get Rexon. He's learnt now. He's staying a very safe distance away. Louise says she's even scared just to come and try out some of this. Sorry, Lou. Okay, so with the seeds, if you can get them, you can roast them, and that's where you get the oil from. By roasting, you subtract or extract the oils, and the oil can also be used as a purgative. So this plant's got lots of sort of abilities to void things out of one's sort of body. I know a lot of local people will actually take salt water from the ocean and down it. Causes you to sort of vomit and get sort of rid of all that sort of stuff. Rexon's coming to join us. Oh, hello, Rex. Rex, do you know the jacket plum? Yeah? Do your people use it? Very well, eh? So Rexon, I'm sure in a little while, once all these teas are brewed and everything's good to go, he'll be tasting with me. See, he's standing up, he's excited. He's rubbing his hands together. Excited, Rex? Okay, so Lou, we're just going to let this boil for a little bit before we can actually drink it. It's going to have to cool down as well. There we go. It's looking really, really nice, though. The colour is coming out quite nicely. Oh, thanks, Dina K. Dina K says there's nothing more sexy than a man cooking with an apron. Well, thank you, Dina K. Hey, do you like my apron? I forgot it last time. I do apologize, but I've got it now, and I think it suits me quite well. Shows off my legs. Shows off my legs. Okay, well, we're going to let this all brew and stew and do what it needs to be done. I'm going to ask Rexon a few questions as well about his community and how exactly they use this tree. It's always nice to learn more information, and I always like to impart this onto all you wonderful people. So while we wait for this to do its thing, let's go back over to the little chief with Lauren.
Sleepy Hosana is still sleeping, and we did move forward and try to get a better view for you, but sadly, It's not the best view ever. However, I do have an image on my phone that quite clearly shows his injury. Not my phone, my camera. You ready for this, Marcel? Well, not his injury, sorry. The mark that we were actually referring to on his chin. So there we go. Are you able to see that? I think this is what people were referring to here. This mark. It looks like he's had a bit of a scratch or tried to shave. Not really done us a good job. Nicked himself during that awkward shaving of the goatee. But I believe that is what people were referring to when they said they spotted a little mark on Hosana's chin. So I hope it was, and at least my camera can give you a view of it if Hosana himself cannot. Alrighty. But you know what would be absolutely perfect? If he just sat up right on cue and looked at us. We are actually in the prime perfect position. It would just be all it would take for him to sit up and get a gorgeous view of him. But that's probably not going to happen. But when you take a big look at his paws, if Marcel can just go back there, nice one, they are massive. And you know when you get a new puppy and their body doesn't quite fit their paws? A brand new puppy and the paws are just too big and they look all awkward and cumbersome. Sometimes I feel that about Hosana. His paws are huge, which makes me think he does have a little bit of growth left in him to fill out a little bit more. And of course, if his father's anything to go by, that dewlap will get bigger. It's already starting to show. I personally notice a huge difference in Hosana's dewlap, but I believe it will continue to get bigger, especially when he does become that dominant territorial male that he will eventually be. How strange will that be for us all, seeing him turning into a scent marking, sawing territorial male, and of course hope we get to see it. We're having a little twitch there. Yes, I think we are. Oh, we're gone. You know when you're so far in sleep. This is a deep sleep. Although we are able to get quite a close view. If Marcel can go closer on his ear there, his right ear, we're able to see that little mark there. Sorry, I was just listening to people on the Game Drive radio, but I'm going to turn it down. I'm not that good at multitasking. So I wonder in a few years' time how many notches he will have, how many scars he will have, how many bits of his ear might be missing. Hopefully none, but you can even see on his nose here, because we're so close, he's got little scratches and little scars all across his nose. Sometimes I wish we knew Hosana's journey a little bit better. Sally's asking if Hosana was to get into a fight, would we be able to help him? Absolutely not. Absolutely not at all. We are just mere observers out here. So this is the animal's environment, and we obviously drive around and observe what is going on. We really shouldn't interfere in any way, shape or form. You should always let nature take its course. And as absolutely heartbreaking as it would be to see Hosana injured or into a fight or any sort of circumstance, if it is natural, then you would have to let nature take its course, and that's what we abide by here. We're just visitors, we're just observing. Now, up in the Mara, it is slightly different. There is vets and organisations that do get involved when the injury or the accident or whatever's wrong with the animal has been caused by human. If it's human caused by potentially a snare or hit by a vehicle or even a spear from a local Maasai person, then there's lots of organisations that do get involved and they will try to assist the animal. Now, there's many different arguments for and against this, and I'm also not sure where I sit on the fence with all of that. It is difficult. We should not interfere, but of course, If your vehicle has hit an animal and is injured because of you, then of course I understand why people want to get involved. It is a tricky topic to debate, but out here in Juma we don't do that. We just observe. And we learn so much from it. But if Hosana was to get into a fight, do you know what? I think he would put up a pretty good fight. Obviously we see Hosana is the young leopard that he is, but he's had some adventures. He's grown up here. Lots of leopard around, lions around, hyenas around. Hyenas give him a hard time, that's for sure. He ventured all the way down to Londolozi, bumped into some leopards like Anderson, back up again for a little while, went back down again for a short while, and it is believed he had an altercation with Hukamuri, and he's back here again. There's no way Hosana's life has been sort of wrapped in cotton wool. He really probably has had many incidents with lions, with leopards, other leopards, male and female, and hyenas. He'll have bumped into his fair share of enemies out there, if you like. And I think sometimes we tend to forget that. But Hosana would put up a good fight, and people love to ask, this is our favourite dinner time talk. We sit around the fire at night and think, who would win, Hukamuri or Hosana? So who would win out of Hosana or Hukamuri? I'm not sure, but I honestly think Hosana really would put up a really good fight if he had to. I really do. I think Regular is asking, would a leopard eat another leopard if it killed it or if it came across a dead one? And yes, it would. Ultimately, leopards are opportunistic feeders. And of course, they are carnivores. Now, I think that happened quite recently up in Bufosuk, where a leopard did kill another leopard, a young female. And yes, a lot of it was missing. Definitely a leopard would. They wouldn't set out to kill another leopard to eat it for food, for dinner, but absolutely, if they were to come across a dead leopard or was in a fight and the leopard died, then a leopard absolutely would. Yep, it's a carnivore and a predator and a very resourceful feeder. One study says that leopards actually feed on 92 different prey items. 92. All the way from termites right up to all sorts of animals. They're very, very resourceful, which contributes to their success, of course. Now, they will have food that they like to eat. Of course, Hosana loves his impala. But when it comes to it, they're very resourceful and they can sustain themselves on all sorts of other animals in order to survive out here if times were to get tough. Now, the leopards up in the Mara that I came across all preferred Thompson's gazelle. So that was obviously their ideal sort of favourite food up there. But here for Hosana and the likes, it is impala. Sort of the perfect size, shape, easy to catch for them. They're experienced in it. But I'm sure there's a lot of snacking Hosana does around here that we're not even familiar with. I'm sure he feeds on a whole variety of things. Now I'm just going to turn my radio up here in case anybody else does want into this sighting. And we will, of course, have to leave and pull out for a little while. But, of course, we will come straight back because I have promised you that we will stay with Mr. Hosana this evening, and I have absolutely no complaints whatsoever. I'm more than happy to stay with our sleepy boy up on top of his little mound here. So while I try and figure out if we do have to pull out for a little while, we are going to send you across to Trishala, who's bumbling along.
Trish, you have come to Trish at a very precarious time. It's just easier there, I think. So we are hot on the tail of a leopard, and we just caught a glimpse of her. It may be Sabui, but to be honest, we only saw her bum and tail moving. We were in the Mawati and she was on top of the bank, which is where we are now. So we've been trying to find her. It's always horrible when you see them and you're like, I can't get there straight away. I have to go round. So that's what's happened, and now we're trying to get back down into the Mawati to find her. Oh, Okay, let's just see this hyena first. Maybe it can help us. Who do we have here? Hello, hello. Do you know where the leopard is? Let's stop and look. Hey, pretty girl. So it's Pretty, and she's obviously smelling the leopard too. Okay, mission. Back down into the Mawati. She's obviously smelt the leopard, so she's just thinking, where could the leopard be? And what they'll usually do, you'll see that wherever the leopard... Okay, let's just wait. I just want to see what direction she goes in, because she's got a nose on her. Hi, girl. Okay, so where she's walking to now. Oh! Have we got all our friends out, have we? So comes another. Hello? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so everyone's around looking for the leopard, including our two hyenas, and Davy and myself. Good team, I reckon. Okay, now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my teammates here, our hyena teammates, and I'm going to watch them, but I'm going to go back into the Mawati because I need to be quicker than them. So let's go quickly. I can still see them. Oh, bless you, Darth. And this is this very slightly hairy, but there we go, and that's it. All right, let us go this way, I think. So it was actually really cool to see her on top on the banks and us just below watching her. But where did you go, girl? Oh, this is very exciting. But I just want to find her. Okay, we're going to do a quick check of the Mawati down here. We're going to go check Mamba Loop, and then we'll see if those hyenas were thinking in the same way we were. In the meantime, it seems that Steve has something up his nose yet again.
Thank you, Trish. Good luck finding whoever that leopard might be. Rexon actually heard the baboon's alarm calling. We're not far away. It's probably Sibui. What do you reckon, Craig? Rex? Sibui? I don't know what Trish is talking about. Leaves up my nose. Anyway, we're going to move on. We have turned off our decoction. It is nice and hot, steaming hot now. So we're going to look at the colours in there. Now, I do have my famous syringe, so we can get some lovely colours out. Let's have a look at that colour. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? See, that's the active ingredient that we've gotten out of the bark now and the leaves. We're going to put that on the side. And let's pour this out, shall we? Oh, I left my sieve somewhere. I don't know where my sieve is. So we try just get as much of the liquid component out without any of the leafy material. Ooh, doesn't that look delicious? Rexon is dribbling over there. He's very excited to drink this. He said it looks really nice. He could smell it before as it was steaming off. Let's just get the last of that out there because I think Craig also wants to get some out. Mrs. Lapwing, no one ever draws a short straw with me. They all want to drink it. Never. No one wants to drink my stuff, but that coloration there, isn't that delicious? Okay, well, before we get to the decoction, we just let that cool down a little bit. My infusion is over here, and the infusion is used by the Maasai up in Kenya, and it was apparently used to strengthen them, but a bit of courage, also a little bit of an aphrodisiac. Of course, everything is an aphrodisiac, and blood purification. And so we'll have a little bit of a taste of this. I don't know too much about the Maasai, but apparently, well, the jacket plum does occur all the way up as far as Somalia. So we'll have a taste. That's delicious. Craigie, I'm feeling courageous now. Craig, Rex, would you like a taste? There you go, my lovely camping cup. Blood strengthening tonic for you, Mr. Rexon. That's nice, eh? Okay, so now we come back to the decoction that we've made, and apparently the leaves are useful in stopping nosebleeds, which is why I've got this up my nose over here. Thankfully, my nose wasn't bleeding. But we're going to have a taste as well. I know Rexon is very excited to have a taste of this one. This one is really, really strong. Smells unbelievable. It's got a floral bitterness to it. A floral bitterness. Now, by drinking this, we can assist in chest complaints. We can use it for washing our eyes, for any eye infections. It's been listed with a number of venereal diseases, and you can also apply it to the skin for ringworm, and also, as with the seed, for baldness on the head. So how exactly and how much exactly you need to apply, that is something that I think proper traditional healers would be able to tell us. But Rex, nice, eh? I think it's quite nice, actually. It's probably one of the nicer decoctions I've made. Craigie. Cheers, everybody. Well, there's the decoction infusion of the jacket plum. I hope you've managed to learn a few things about the wonderful medicinal properties of this glorious tree that we have up here on the left. A tree that is very, very common throughout southern and southeastern Africa. Minamu, you want to know how I got all of this information and the knowledge? Well, I did a master's on medicinal plants, which focused on plants down in the Southern Cape, and I've always been interested in medicinal plants. And every week I learn a bit more. Every week I do a little bit more research. And since I started this, it was over a year ago. I haven't managed to do one every week. I wish I had, but there's been things that have prevented me from doing so. But I've been trying to do this one for 2 weeks, and finally here we have Medicinal Wednesdays on a Wednesday. And there's lots of information. There's books. There's useful plants and herbal plants. There's websites, SANBI, the South African National Biodiversity Institute, plants, a lot of which has been done on Africa. I like to look at the sustainable harvesting of tree itself. Fruits are very sustainable, but roots, I try and shy away from roots because I don't want to kill a plant unnecessarily. Lots of medicinal value in plants in South Africa. There's 27 million users in South Africa alone that we know of that use medicinal plants on top or before any normal sort of pharmaceutical drugs. So I want to keep this knowledge. I want it to be passed on, and I want people to also know that you can talk about medicinal plants. We don't just see plants such here. They actually have much more intrinsic value to us as humans, and many animals know that as well. Elephants go through a wide variety of plants during the dry season to cure all sorts of ailments. I've never met a bald elephant or an elephant with ringworm, but if it ever comes along, got a problem with his bald patch, well, we can give him some of this to rub on. What do you think? Sure, Craigie, you sure you don't want any? Last chance. Cheers, everyone. I'm going to finish this off because there's no purgative to this that I know of. Oh, that was a big one. Olama. Rooibos tea has got antioxidants and free radical sort of attaches. They do have, I don't really know much more about the medicinal value of rooibos. I know it's very, very highly cultivated, but a plant I grew is called honeybush tea, which is also a fynbos plant occurring down in the fynbos biome, and that one has got the highest free radical sort of accumulator and very, very good in antioxidants, and it's just overall a very good tea for you to drink, and that's just done food confusion. But because medicinal plants in Africa are being harvested from the wild unsustainably, people are looking at how do we commercially grow these by being sustainable and also making money out of it by looking at people living in the landscape, because that is a new paradigm in conservation at the moment in South Africa. Is it's not just landscape and people separated, it is people within the landscape. So social, economic, inside the landscape. How do I teach people how to sustain off the land, harvesting it sustainably, using the right plants? We can't kill every tree we see. We can't take all the bark off the tree. And we need to come up with sustainable techniques. And that was one of the focuses of my master's so many years ago already, was looking at commercially growing some of these plants which are being unsustainably harvested from the wild. Okay, well, I'm going to start cleaning up all of my medicinal magic over here. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any further questions, please feel free to send them through. Seems like Lauren has decided to leave the little chief. Let's go and see what her plans are.
Unfortunately, everyone, I did leave Hosana. We're about to give you a view of the sunset. Not yet. I'm going to get into position. There was another vehicle that wanted to go in, apparently. So I have to step out because I have obviously spent so much time with them. But what I'm hoping to do is not stray too far away at all. Can you work with this, Marcel? And then I will head on back to him. I don't think he's going to move out the area too soon. So I think I will just bumble around here, possibly pop into the hyena den. But for now, we just wanted to show you this glorious sunset. The sun is still an orange ball in the sky. It's not quite yet got to that stage where it's right on the horizon and it's sinking. It is still a glorious ball of light. Now, Marcel, I'm going to cut your work out for you right now. I think we have a beautiful mongoose on top of the termite mound, and I don't want to go any closer. There we go, because as soon as I do, there we go. Oh no, squirrels! It's quite far away. From a distance, I thought it would be a mongoose. Oh, squirrels! Oh. How cute is that? Right at the top of the termite mound. Adorable. Squirrels are just everywhere right now. And they are adorable, but they are just as naughty for us as the monkeys are. The monkeys regularly steal our food, as I think I told you all yesterday. And so do the squirrels. They come right into our kitchen. And we've actually had to pull out the fridges and the freezers and all sorts of things to find the squirrel that's hiding behind it and get it out. As cute as they are, of course, we can't have them in our kitchen. So they're adorable, but very naughty. Now, you know why we're getting such a good view of them is because we're actually really, really far away. Oh, I've just broken my earpiece in two. I'm going to keep talking, but I hope Lou doesn't talk to me because I want my earpiece in. Bear with me. Ah, there we go. I fixed it. So yes, we're getting such a good view because we are actually quite far away. The moment I turn on my car and go closer, they will run for sure. They're obviously enjoying life up on the termite mound as well. And would you believe it, just after you left us last time, Hosana popped his head up and gave us a glorious view of himself. So I am hoping we can head back. But we need to follow etiquette and just bumble around for a little while and then ask permission if we can go back into the sightings. So I hope you're okay if we do head to the hyena den. It's just here, it's really not far, all in the same vicinity, and just check if anybody's home. And then I'm going to do a big loop and go back to Hosana. So as we were not live, I was actually thinking writing a book on Hosana is a pretty good idea. We all have so much knowledge on him. Didn't quite get the name there, Lou, but someone was asking why are the leaves yellow on the tree? What season is it? Well, indeed, in case you cannot tell by my attire, Spas. Hi, Spas! Yay! It's winter. It's going into winter. I don't think it's the height of winter yet, which slightly worries me because when we wake up, it is absolutely freezing and it's winter. So all the trees that do lose their leaves, not all of them do, of course, are losing them, and we're in that stage. It almost for a second takes me back to autumn in the UK, those gorgeous colours. I really do love autumn in the UK, but of course it's not. It's a completely different climate. But yes, a lot of the leaves are starting to die, and of course trees are bare because winter is here, which does make it much... Oh, hello, roller. Shall we say hello to the roller? On you go, Marcel. Good luck with this one. Hopefully it won't fly away. Hello there. I love it when they look at you because for being such gorgeous, glorious birds, I feel they do actually have a mean-looking face, a mean-looking expression when they stare at you. They look a little bit mean. But otherwise, completely gorgeous, of course. You see what I mean? Now, that's a very thin branch to be perched like that. Good job, Roller. Now we're going to continue bumbling on to the dens before that sun goes down. So yeah, I was saying, writing a book on Hosana is actually a genius idea. We know so much about him. We have so many photos, footage, videos, everything Hosana. It's an incredible idea. And you know, we can just start contributing it now as a group effort. And then slowly, as he goes through his life, obviously keep adding to the story of Hosana. And obviously I spoke about things happening to Hosana earlier. Nothing is going to happen to him. He faces so many challenges out here in the wilderness. And I actually have no idea if some of the stories are, of course, true. Hukumuri and Hosana having an altercation. I really don't know where that came from. I can't vouch for it. I cannot say it is true in any shape or form. And I won't. Unless I actually know something did indeed happen and see footage or whatnot, I have no idea. Sometimes... As I like to say, sometimes you have to take things with a pinch of salt. Alrighty, so we're going to head on into the den quickly, say hi, and we will make our way back to the boy we're all going to write a book about together. And while we do that, we're going to send you across to Trushala.
I am searching for a leopard, but we have a lovely sunset. Let's just check with the Darby magic man. Oh, he says keep it going. He wants his perfect shot. Now, we are actually backtracking a little bit. Darby's like, no, keep it going, keep it going. He's waiting for the perfect one. Yeah, we're backtracking a little bit because our leopard... Keep it going, but slow, okay. Our leopard has moved. Is that all right, Darby? Okay, Darby is satisfied now. But she's moving all over the place, and so have those hyenas. And now we are going back onto the road. Hopefully she will pop out, and that's what we're looking for. Which would be awesome. Now, that's a lovely sunset for you. African sunset. But we need to scoot because we want to find this leopard, don't we? But while we scoot, I'll tell you a little bit about the sun that you are looking at. And that is... in 240 BC, long time ago, Eratosthenes, if that's how you say his name, ancient Greek name, he discovered that the earth is round. And he did this it was the first experiment ever really recorded that showed that the earth has to be spherical, because he went and measured 2 points at the earth and then measured their shadow and realized that they don't have the same shadow everywhere they go. And he managed to calculate the earth's circumference at 240 BC. He managed to calculate the circumference, and he wasn't too far off. So it was something like 40,000 kilometers. I may be wrong, actually. It sounds like that's too little, but it could be, right? Let's have a quick look. I always keep notes for all you guys for me to share on here. Don't look at my photos, guys. There we have it. It was, 40,000 kilometers. I should just trust myself. Anyway, he used a measurement called a stadion, which is a unit that we don't actually know too much about, and they can be different actual distances associated with one stadion depending on what you get or where you are. And if he used one particular number for his stadion, he would have been within 1% of the correct answer of the circumference of the earth. At his worst used stadion, he'd still be within 14% correct of the circumference of the Earth, which is very impressive for that far or that early in our history. I really think it is a staggering achievement to be able to calculate that sort of thing. And that is definitely one of the ways that we can see the curvature of the Earth. The other way, of course, is to just have a look at some pictures. That's also true. Lou says how many people believed him? Very, very few. Very few, and I am so sure he got in some trouble for it as well, as do most scientists through history. But it is kind of cool, eh? Come on, girl, where are you? I really do think it's Sabui. That's why I want to keep on to the southern side, because she tends not to actually go in to Djuma further north than that very much at all. So I'm going to hang about this area. And please, please pop out, my girl. It was just the most frustrating thing for Darby and I to watch that tail above us. How do we get there? But at least we caught a glimpse of her, and that's what matters. So just saying, Darby, our animals were in our fingertips today. The lions, we missed them when they walked into Cheetah Plains. And then now this girl. At least I caught a glimpse, so I don't feel too bad. And I was just saying also that I find it easier to see them in this type of light for some reason. It's almost like the pink light doesn't make them camouflage as well to the grass, pink light of the setting sun. So I feel that I can see them better. Now I also know that where she originated, or we originally saw her there by Twin Dams in the Mulwati, there are people that are there, so they can actually tell us if she does come back to that area. I was just looking at the sun and I thought, wow, I saw it and then it slipped away all of a sudden, very, very quickly. Always lovely to watch a sunset. It never, ever, 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 ever gets old. Come, girl. Where are you? Oh, Steve. Steve is so stylish today. He had leaves up his nose and now he seems to be walking towards the sunset. So let's go over to him, and when you return, I'll tell you another fun fact about the sun.
Trish is definitely on form today, isn't she? Yes, she is. Full of beans, everybody. Well, you'd think she had one of my decoctions before going out, but she didn't. I think I might make her one. Anyway, we have finished our decocting and we've cleaned up all my implements. The sort of blood strengthening tonic and the courage infusion is coursing through our veins, but we still need to get home. The sun is setting over there and we're a good half an hour from camp. So we're going to be walking quite briskly through the sort of thickets here. And we somehow also have to get around Hosana. There are probably a couple of vehicles in that area. Not 100% sure. So we don't want to obviously disturb what's going on there. So we're going to get around. Everything will be fine. Feeling quite strong and joyous now this afternoon. Nice to have been able to share some information with you about another plant that we find here on Djuma. And I will continue to do so as long as I can until I run out of plants, and then I'll have to start from the beginning. Will that be fun? Yes. Craig is a bit jealous now that he didn't get to drink any of my decoction. Not really. Not really. Keefe, I was trying to harvest some of the jacket plum earlier during the kids' drive, and I somehow managed to break a branch and then spear my finger with an enormous thorn. It was a really big thorn, and my finger was bleeding profusely, so much so that Louise, who's directing, told me not to show my finger to the camera again, because Murray, who's the second director, was very squeamish. So Rexon managed to pull out a plaster, and we cleaned it, and everything is good now. I will have to be a little bit more careful next time, but you know, sometimes these harvesting techniques are are sometimes a little bit dangerous if you don't try this at home. Make sure that you are aware of the angle, the blade you're using. Although I wasn't using a knife at the time, I was merely just trying to break a piece of bark. And then there was a thorny shrub underneath. I think it was one of the sour plums. Just sort of went straight through my finger. It's quite painful. It was throbbing for a very long time, but now that I've had my blood strengthening tonic, I'm good and strong and ready to go. So I hope that explains everything. It's important to have a little bit of a first aid kit. You never know what could happen out here. And there are lots of other plants out here that I could use as well to clean the wound, but nothing works quite as well as sort of an elastoplast sort of bandage. It just wraps things up very quickly and very conveniently. We have come a very long way as a species, and we are able to still use things out in the wilderness to look after, of course, as Louis said, ones with Batman or Spider-Man on them are the best plasters in the world. I remember when I was a child, if you put a Spider-Man plaster on me or one with a picture, immediately the pain is gone. Now that's what we talk about placebo. I mention placebo sometimes, and some of these medicinal plants have value. Some of them it's proven, some of it's placebo. So essentially placebo is the fact that I could give you a pill or a drink or something and say, this is going to do that. If you believe it, it's going to work. So that's what they always do, blind placebo tests in any study they do to see if the result is the same, even if they haven't given the person anything. Because some people will respond to medication just because they said it's medication when actually there's nothing in it. So they always test for that in scientific studies. I don't know to the degree and how much depth it goes into. That's way beyond my port of sort of understanding or education. But placebo is something very well known, and many of the plants given out here have a placebo effect and nothing else. Just like when mom kisses you on your sore elbow, it gets better, doesn't it? It's all in the mind. Just like a Spider-Man plaster works much better than a plain plaster, because suddenly it's Spider-Man, and then you have kids going, look, and they want to show everybody their sore, their Hyena, we call it in South Africa. And Hyena is when you get hurt, and they want to show everybody their Hyena. Look, and all it is their very cool plaster. So whoever invented pictures on plasters was a genius. Was a genius. Hello, Tom. Sickle bush works quite well as a wound cleaner for pretty much anything. Any wound, no sickle bush there, but pretty much any of the plants that are funny enough that have got a spike on them are quite good for wounds. So the common spike thorn, the red spike thorn, I'm just trying to scan and see if I can see any, and the sickle bush. All of them have got a penetrating spike that will wound you. All three of those, you can make a sort of decoction out of them, or you can even just use the leaves and apply them to the wound, and they work quite well. So that's quite interesting. So they're basically saying we can hurt you and we can make you feel better at the same time, which is what nature is all about. Trying to see if even the buffalo thorn that we got here is good for wounds, and that's got the ability to hurt you twice because it's got straight and hooked thorns. So, good to know. Lots of things out here, but, they clean the wound. Some of them are antiseptic. Some of them are anti-inflammatory. There's plants out here that are antihistamine properties. There's so many things out here that we can use and apply. And I'm trying to get my head around them all. And eventually I'll have probably done a medicinal segment on majority of the plants that we do get out here in Djuma. I'll probably then start bringing some in from neighboring reserves that don't occur here anymore, like the fever tree, baobab, some of the what do you call it? The fig trees. That'd be wonderful to see. Anyway, we're going to get through this dip here. It is starting to get quite dark, so we need to keep our wits about us. And in the meantime, let's go over to Trish, who I think is trying to track down another leopard.
You head home, Steve. I'm so impressed with him and his decoctions and whatnot that he does. I wonder if he could make one that would make me find this leopard. Which would be awesome. Now, we are doing a loop again. and trying to figure out where she may be. Davi, let's go through the Mowati this way. Something is telling us that she's around here somewhere. Come on, girl. Thing is, we heard some francolins shouting a little bit. So you see up on that ledge there, that's sort of how we saw her. On top there, well, we're at the bottom here, which of course is not very helpful if you don't have a way in. So Darby's just having a look there. Of course, he is higher up than I am, and I don't think he sees anything. Nope, he says nope. Well, while we check the Mowati, I can tell you my other fun sun fact. That's it. Fun sun fact, which is in fact that it rains on the sun. Yes, it does. It rains. You know how rain works on Earth? It's just the water vapor that condenses into droplets and comes down in the form of rain. So a similar thing happens on the sun, on the surface of the sun. In the corona is like the outer atmosphere of the sun. Problem is it's charged. So plasma, which is just like a super hot charged liquid, or gas rather, as it rises up it condenses and then you get a rain, basically rain of plasma, which is different to our rain, of course, but it's still rain. It still rains from the sky, and you would have seen them at those as those kind of, they're slightly different to flares, solar flares, and you'll see them as a loop on the sun. Very interesting stuff. And what's also pretty interesting is that the surface of the sun is not as hot as the corona around it, the atmosphere around it. Scientists don't know why, but they are working on it definitely. It gets something to about 1 million degrees Celsius. Yes, that's very, very hot. Oh. Ooh, sorry everyone. I think there was a combination of stop and hold. But we finally got this kingfisher. Davy, can you see him? He's just right here in this corner. I think he's hiding behind that branch. Hello, you. So this looks like a brown hooded kingfisher, and we've been struggling to put it on camera, hence my very sudden stop and the right wheel in a small hole, but we managed to get it on. Hello, you. You've been evading the cameras. Yes, you have, but I'm so sorry, Mr. Kingfisher. We are on a mission to find this leopard, and we know she's still here, so we're going to have to move on. You see, when it comes to finding an animal, time is really of the essence. I mean, because for example, when I stopped, I had a problem with Rusty, the car, and I had to stop to fix it. Now, if I hadn't stopped to open the bonnet and fix that problem, we would have actually crossed paths with the leopard. So all that, those small timings makes a huge difference. So, sorry, Mr. Kingfisher, but while I look around for our leopard and I really hope we find it, let's go over to Lauren, who's also driving about.
Very frustrating news for you all. I got very excited. Lou got very excited in my ear. We reached the den number 2, the large one, my favorite one. If I was a hyena, I would be at den number 2. And the cubs were there, so I started celebrating. 3 of them, just looking at me. I just love that little face when they're just looking at you. I love it. And of course, there was no adult. Which means we can't stay there. Of course we can't. But it's frustrating when you've got such a lovely sighting and a lovely view of the cubbies and you can't stay there. So unfortunately we did have to leave, which is rather frustrating, but we have came down to Treehouse. Just have a little look. I've asked the other vehicles to let me know when I can go back to Hosana, even though I found Hosana. And surely enough, we will end up back there to top off what has been a fantastic drive. But we just thought we would come down to Treehouse and see if, oh, camera trap flash, to see if anything is happening. And apparently it is not. But we're going to give you a nice view of the dam and the sunset. I'm just going to go a bit forward for Marcel. And there you go. Let's take a look at Treehouse Dam with the sunset. It's still looking very good. It's looking much better than the likes of Twin Dams. And it's looking much better than the likes of Buffalo's Hook Dam. So I always feel like I should come down here just to see if, well, anybody's drinking. I actually always feel like there should be somebody here drinking. But unfortunately, I never bump into anyone. Yes, Lou's saying it's very beautiful and tranquil. It is. I do find I get a lot of solitude from coming down to a water point. Oh, I think that was Trishala's voice in my ear. How lovely. I was actually trying to find out where she was so I didn't bump into her. Alrighty, we're going to keep moving on. I'm going to slowly make my way back to Hosana and see if some of these lovely vehicles will let me in. We have been with them most of the drive though, so of course we will follow the etiquette. Cassandra. Okay, I love your point, Cassandra. I absolutely love it. So even although we're not at the den, we can still talk about the cubs. Perfect. Happy to. More than happy to. So why are the cubs black when they are born? Well, I think generally, so there's people in my ear, it's just the coloration. It's just their natural coloration, because when they are born, they're born with a full set of teeth, but they're actually still very altricial, which means that they still have to be stashed away in a natal den. Their eyes are not fully developed. They're tiny. They're teeny tiny. They still need a lot of protection from mother. They don't normally start to come out of the natal den into the communal den until 4 weeks. That's obviously 1 month. And then slowly but surely, after about 2 to 3 months, you start to see the spots. But the spots are always there. The spot pattern is there, even when it is a tiny little black juvenile. We just can't see it because the rest of the coat is black. But once the rest of the coat starts to lighten, we of course see the spot pattern. So generally, I think they're just black because they're hidden away in a dark den. I think it just makes sense for these little cubbies to be a little more discreet when they're born and they're stashed in that den. That's my personal opinion on why they're black. And then of course they lighten as they get older. I was actually born with a full head of jet black hair. It was so black you would not believe it. And then magically it turned blonde. No, that is a fantastic question, Cassandra. Why are they black? But I think that is the reason why. But it's just so interesting that the spot pattern they have since they were born is the one that they have throughout their whole life, which makes them very easy to study. It's a very good thing from a sort of biological science point of view. The spot pattern doesn't change. And there's a lot of studies in giraffes at the minute where they say that parts of the pattern of the patches, that's quite a mouthful, parts of the pattern of the patches actually come from the mother. It's exactly the same. So part of the mother's coat, that design that the giraffes have, is actually inherited by the young. So this study suggests that this could be similar for a lot of other mammals. So could it also be the same for, and I think hyenas are the perfect animal to actually sort of dive into that and take a look to see if it's true. Even turtles, they have a scute design on their face. But how are you ever going to find the turtle mother and make a sort of study on that unless they're in captivity, which is not ideal. But hyenas would be perfect. So you need to have sort of a long-term study of lots of data comparing the spot patterns from the mother to the cub and see if there's any similarities or any patterns that are replicated. I think it's utterly fascinating. But yes, they have the same spot pattern throughout their whole life. But of course, we just can't see it when it's really, really, really dark. But hyena cubs, when they're so black, I think they look like little black bears. They're incredibly cute, and they really don't, in my opinion, look like hyenas. And if you were to show this to someone who's maybe not too familiar with hyenas or familiar with the bush, and you show them this tiny little cub and say, what animal is this? I'm not 100% sure everyone would actually be able to guess it was a hyena. Not because people are stupid, it's just because if you're not familiar with the animal, it just looks absolutely nothing like the adult version, in my opinion, of course. So we're slowly creeping back to the area because the sun is going down, and I want to see Hosana again before the drive wraps, as I'm sure you all do. But I might need to turn my game drive up and actually listen to what people are saying, so then I will know if there's any available space. So while we do that, we are going to send you over to the bushwalk. We will have to head in soon as the sun is setting.
Hey, Lauren, well, we can see Hosana off in the distance there. We've just managed to skirt around all these vehicles and snuggle in right next to the lodge that we can get away without causing any harm. And Saka came running in. And if Lauren does get back to Hosana now, you'll see Saka is harassing him. Saka's got a very nice wound. He does. A very nice wound on his bottom here. He came right up to us. He ran around us, ran in front. He's not at all scared. Not all scared. Lift your stick. I'll hit you, boy. No, I'd never hit a hyena with my stick. But they are quite brave. And Saka's the one who came in to the wild dogs that I had that time. There was June, as well as Nsaka, who went in and got an absolute hammering from those wild dogs down at Chitwa. It was so funny watching how he runs away from wild dogs, knowing that they have the potential to bite and hamstring him. They kind of run like this, their bottom right up against their ankles. And they can run quite quickly like that, but it's a very funny looking sort of appearance. It serves the purpose of protecting those back hamstrings to the back of the leg. And obviously they don't mind getting bitten a little bit on their rump. But hamstrings or tendons on the back of the legs, very, very vulnerable to being bitten. With hyenas, for the most part as well, they can really damage the back of a leg. There's some old leopard tracks heading straight up here. So that was Nsaka. No doubt he'd come around because we did a big loop. He went around Hosana, came around with sniffing, then went in between him. Yeah, so we'll be aware of the hyenas. Hyenas aren't dangerous on foot. A clan of hyenas could potentially be, if you were injured out here, maybe they could smell the blood on my finger. If you're injured, a clan of hyenas could potentially be quite dangerous. But for the most part, in daylight hours, humans have no issue with hyenas. It's when you sleep under the stars or you sleep in one of our rooms and you leave your door open, then you could really feel the wrath of a hyena, because the hyena is skulking. It will come in and go back. Come in close and go back. And if you don't respond, maybe you passed out on the chair or you're sleeping under the stars, no one's watching, the hyena will come closer, closer and closer, and eventually will grab something. It'll be your face, your head, your neck. It's not going to end well. So I've done a lot of sleeping out under the stars, and you've just got to make sure when you do that someone is awake. So you go through like 1 hour sits per person through the night. You sort of move it through from 7, 8 o'clock all the way through until sunrise, and someone sits there. Small fire, self-reflection, very special moments, and every now and again you just scan the light over your friends' heads, and that keeps the hyenas at bay. But if no one's awake, the inquisitive hyena will come closer and closer and closer and closer, and then eventually pull off your face. It's not ideal. Not ideal at all. Tristan was telling me that one of the landowners up in the north, I think his name's Charles, he actually happened to be the doctor who did the treatment on that young 10, 11-year-old boy who was pulled out of a tent or even a cabin in Crocodile Bridge, I think it was, in one of the Kruger camps last year. He was staying with his grandfather. They were in a tented or enclosed camp whereby there was a fence around. This hyena got in. No one's paying attention because you're in a camp. You wouldn't expect them to come in. And maybe the door was left open. Who knows? Came in and grabbed the boy here by the face and pulled him about 40, 50 yards before people were aware of what had happened. And they managed to get up and chase the hyena off. But it caused severe damage to his face. There's a not very good light, but that was probably Hosana yesterday. So it caused severe damage to his face, which is not ideal, but the surgeon has managed to fix that problem, and it'll be interesting to see how he looks, because hyenas do a lot of damage in that powerful jaw. So you'd never want that to be you or your child. Well, I'm sorry for ending our bushwalk on such a low note, but hyenas and leopards came up into conversation, and well, medicinals at the same time. So hope you enjoyed your afternoon. From myself and Craig and Rexon on the bushwalk team, have a beautiful evening further. We'll see you tomorrow, and let's send you back over to Trish.
I do have my spotlight out, and I think it's just best if Steve gets back into camp and sorts out any potential tummy issues that he may have after his medicinal Wednesday. Or spotlight issues. He may also have spotlight issues because he is, of course, Spotlight Steve. He even has a system now, the Triple S Spotlight Steve system. And he makes sure that all the spotlights are in working order, and I think he's doing a good job because my spotlight is working. Now, we are back again looking for our leopard because she has not crossed out. But it seems that nobody can locate her, including the other vehicles. But I think it'll be a good idea to kind of hang out on the northern boundary because it's only a matter of time before she gets there, if it is Subuyi like we suspect it is. I always like when it comes to sort of, you know, the crunch time at the end of show and you desperately want to find this animal. Oh, there's a little nightjar there. Let's say hello quickly.
Might go to infrared.
All right. Hello, you in color, but soon you will be in infrared, Mr. Nightjar. Ooh, it's like, nah, I don't want to be in black and white. I want to leave before that. Style. Okay, let us move on then. Sometimes it can be actually a little bit easier to spot them when the sun is actually set and not when it's that sunset sort of time, because that's the worst time for most animals to see in because their eyes have to adjust. And there's a protein called rhodopsin that builds up in the eye as animals start to adjust to the light. So what happens is the lack of light produces a chemical reaction in the eye, and then that is what assists even us to see in the darkness. So though you may think that your eyes adjust fairly quickly, it actually, in a couple minutes, it actually only peaks after a few hours. But that means that you are in no darkness. But the minute you start to introduce light to the eyes, that chemical reaction that causes or produces the rhodopsin protein reverses, and then it gets converted back to whatever its constituents first were. And then we have an issue of readjusting your eyes to the light. So that's also the reason that spotlights should not be put onto the eyes of an animal, especially not for a prolonged period, because after about 5 to 7 minutes, all their rhodopsin reserves would have been converted back to their original parts. And I actually wonder, sometimes you can look at animals' eyes with the spotlight, and that's fine. That doesn't bother the animal at all, and that's not an issue, especially not to do with rhodopsin. But it does, and I don't know if it does, but I think it may have to do with the color of the eye when you see the reflection, may have to do with the amount of rhodopsin, because that's something that fluctuates, and eye color changes sometimes with the shine. Anyway, now that I got that all out, I can send you to Hosana and Lauren while I try and find my leopard.
Well, we did have the most perfect view of him drinking, but sadly we have lost it. It was absolutely adorable. He's right in Vuatella Dam now, making his way across the mud, and he was having a huge drink. Now, we did spot the hyena who was terrorizing him, But unfortunately, that walked away too. I wasn't sure who it was. I believe it was a male from what I could see, but I didn't get a glimpse of the spot pattern. So we are up on the dam wall at the minute, and there are other vehicles down near Hosana. We are going to go ahead and anticipate his popping out. I could be wrong here. This is a bit of a gamble. If he's going up this way, he could pop up onto this road. So we're going to try and follow him. Oh, there's the hyena. Let's take a quick look. Hi, hyena. Well, you're having a real good sniff around here. And who are you? Hi, Ina Bina. Oh, is that not? Oh, let me just check. I was just looking at you the other day and your spot pattern. I think it's... Yeah, I think this is Heart. Heart, it's not a male after all. Heart was the one terrorizing Hosana. Naughty. Okay, don't want to lose this cat. He's gone up here, and all the vehicles were down there, so I'm going to try and meet him on the road. Marcel, have you got your nocturnal eyes on? Mm-hmm. It's not going to be too easy. Obviously, Trish was just talking about eyes. The sun's not quite gone down, so it's not fully dark yet, and my eyes just struggle the most in this light. They really do. Most humans do, I think. We're not designed for that crepuscular light. It's very, very difficult. Your eyes are adjusting between photopic and metopic. Mesopic, I think, sorry. And during that adjustment period, it becomes really, really, really difficult to see. Now, I'm just going to go really slowly. I don't know if I need my spotlight just yet. But Hosana was making his way up towards this road, so I've tried to anticipate and guess his movements. Oh, no, I didn't. I stopped the car. What was that, Marcel?
Just going to infrared.
Okay, we're going to go into infrared from colour. So now I'm no longer in colour, I'm in black and white. Like back in the good old days. I make myself sound really old there, I'm not that old. Right, Hosana's somewhere off to my left. So let me just scan carefully because it is quite thick. And of course, he could also change his mind on his movements and go right back down to the dam. Okay, I'm actually going to turn off the car so that we can have a proper scan because he's here somewhere. If only we had that FLIR camera. I can't see him. So he's either making his way across to the lodge and our camp, which is great, he's going to join us for dinner, the usual, or he's walking towards Galago. I knew it. Yeah, I can see the vehicles following him. Okay, let's just go forward. He's probably heading right to our camp, and I'm not joking. For his nightly patrol to see what goes on at Safari Live. I bet you he's the one that posts all the gossip of what goes on in our camp. Got him. Oh, I think I've got him. Yeah, I've got him. Okay. We're going to bash a bit here. Hold on, Marcello. Yeah, I saw him walking through. I don't know where he's gone right now, though, because it's thick. Can you see him, Marcel? I don't want to give him a fright, so I'm just going to follow the direction of the light shining from here. It's really important at night to also drive slowly, be really considerate of your lights. Okay, I believe he may just be... Can you see him, Marcel? Is he round the other side?
Yeah.
Of course he is. Okay, let me reposition. just want to get a view of him so I know exactly where he is. Oh, okay, I've gone over a stump or something joyous. So while I'm actually trying to navigate and find Hosana, which we will, we're going to send you back across to Trish. Huh?
I'm back at Chitwa because the lions have crossed back into Chitwa. So I am pretty excited because we are going to go right where we think they are at the moment. Which is exciting because I really was feeling down that I hadn't found them, or I was hot to tail on them, and then they went into cheetah plains. They were literally, we had tracks, we saw them, well, we saw the tracks, all fresh and lovely and out of our reach. But we are going over the dam wall now. Oh, wow. There's some hippos out, and if you were wondering, it seems that they also have a bit of eye shine, as I've just seen. But I really want to get to these lions. It's getting quite dark, and I'm actually not used to Chitwa in the dark, because we often come here when the sun is setting or rising, you know. But it's also really nice to be here in the dark and see what kind of life it can give us. Okay, Chitwa, reveal your lions to us. I suspect that they might just be on the border with cheetah plains because it seems like they've just walked in. Okay, lions. Ooh, every now and then I see these eyes in the darkness, and more often than not they're a scrub hair, unfortunately. Now, do please forgive the... thank you, Darby. I was going to say the unsightly bits on our left, but Darby was even quicker than that and decided to show you some pretty bush instead. Beard, I think that's exactly what it means. It does, in fact, mean last-minute lions. Oh, I see something there. It's like an antelope. Ooh. Okay, so we've got a kudu just there. Is it a kudu? A nyala just there. A young guy. Let's not light him up since there's lions around. I'm sorry. You'll cross the road if you'd like, mister. Or are you too scared now? Shame, I think he's too scared. It's fine. We will go ahead. Like I said, you know, you don't want to scare antelope. Especially since they help you so much. Let's go this. Are we going into the same area that we saw the tracks going through, which should be nice. So Darby's got my phone at the moment and he's directing me. Shall we go in here? Sorry, Darby. There you go. So Brent's brother, Dylan, he actually let me know that the lions had come back in, and he sent me a pin. So that's why Darby's got my phone. We're a team, we're working together to find us some last-minute lions. And hopefully they're still exactly where Dylan dropped that pin, which would be awesome. Oh, look, I'm going to take off the airstrip again. So it actually looks like they walked across the airstrip, but we saw that from before. Some antelope there. Ooh, heaps of antelope. They don't look... Ah, okay, okay, I see them, I see them. Let us... Okay, so like Davi said, there's some vehicle lights down here, but we don't actually see anything. It looks like these vehicles have actually been trying to relocate these lions as well, because they look like they're walking through or driving through. Let's just wait for them and see how it goes. Sorry, lights in their eyes. All right, let's follow them through and check whether they know where these guys are. No? All right, let's follow down those lights first. Let's go down there first. So when we get onto Chitwa, you know all about our radio and our all of that. Now Chitwa is a different channel. So while I change a channel, there we go. Oh, there's nothing like a Hari Safari. That's a new name. It's always exciting when you want to just kind of go straight through them. It's exciting. I think it is. Okay, so there seems to be one vehicle there. Ooh, we're approaching. Ah, there we go. Let's have a quick look. Hello. Yes, we made it. And we have some last-minute lions, everyone. Hello, you three. How nice to see you. I'll get in closer to the sighting in a moment. I'm just having a look from here. I see. Sorry, I'll put them off. He says that we're blinding them. There we go. That's better. This is wonderful to see. So we've got at least 2 lionesses. There's one in front. I can actually feel like it may be one of the males, but I can't see very clearly just yet. All right, let's go ahead and get a better view of them. Yay! Last minute lion dance. I hope you're all doing that dance as well. Hello there, guys. How's that done? Oh, yay! It's me and the lions in one shot. I always love that. Oh, no, there we are. Oh, look at them. So this is one of the males. You know, with this Mangeni male, it's actually difficult to tell at times. And it's actually ridiculous. Oh, I'll wink at you, right back at you, and again. Okay. That Mangeni male's recovery is just unbelievable. It is just, he has completely turned. I mean, he was riddled, like, unbelievably riddled. And he seems fine now. I think this is him in front. He's got a little tuft of hair sort of under his chin. I feel like that may be him. You, of course, can let me know if you know better. Oh, that seems like such a tired pant. Oh, that was such a look of like, oh, I'm tired, leave me alone. And that looks like the other, the Inkahuma male there. It's a little bit more difficult with the infrared, but yes, there's definitely growth of mane around there. Now it's interesting to see, look at the spine of that individual, and he actually looks a bit skinny. Eunice, they look like flatter and flattest. I must agree with you. There's flattest on the right. So flat. But that's probably because they were moving in the day. Maybe now they've decided to settle down. Yay. Yay. So a lot of you have confirmed that it is the Mangani male that's just flopped down now that was standing up. We were looking at him before. So it's nice to see that our two males are safe, at least for now, and are not being terribly harassed, at least not at this moment, by the older Avoca males. So these brothers will sort of, well, they're not exactly brothers, but they pretty much are forming a bond like brotherhood at the moment, and it will hold them in good stead as they take on the bush. Dynamic duo. But I think they'll need to recruit some more. It would have been really awesome if, remember when the Telemati young male was hanging around with the Nkahumas? If he had stuck around and the three of them from three sort of different origins all come together to form a coalition, that would have been wonderful. Whew, flattest is properly flat there. I don't even think flattest opened their eyes when they came along. I wonder which female this is. I really didn't have a good look. Hello, handsome. You are looking wonderful. It's giving you a really good look at his eyes there. And of course, the light from the other vehicle is not, of course, ideal, but does give a nice look. Where are you going? Where are you going? Oh, they actually, he's watching towards us. He is walking towards us. Hello, you. I love it, I love it, I love it. It's always a bit, I mean, you know, there's certain ones you're used to, in fact, like the Avoca males. I'm fairly used to them. Gosh, I love it. I absolutely love it. But I was just saying to you, when the Mangeni male passes me, and because we haven't had many interactions like that with him, where he comes so close to the vehicle, it can be a little part of you goes, okay, hold your nerve, hold your nerve. But he was absolutely fine, and he followed his mate. Now let's just wait for this girl to follow too. Even her spine is very obvious. I really hope they get a meal soon so they can plump up just a bit. But as you know, it was the full moon, so it was very difficult for them to hunt in these last few days because the moon was so bright, and it truly did make it difficult for a lot of our predators to hunt. All that extra light that antelopes, all that light for those antelope to collect into their eyes and help them see the predators. Okay, well, it looks like she may get up in a bit. If she does, I'll call you right back. But in the meantime, let's go over to Lauren, who's finding it quite difficult to relocate Hosana.
Last minute lions, yay, well done Trish. I knew she really wanted to see lions today. Her heart was completely set on it. So we did have Hosana, but then he wandered into the drainage, and unfortunately it was almost impossible for us to actually follow him into the drainage. And Chris, you were right. The hyena is Saka, and do you know what? I actually know that. We were actually going through some footage of the hyenas the other day for Safari Lives, and I literally spent time looking at Saka's spot pattern, and I don't know why I said heart. I knew it was a male, and you know, in your brain, you are right, Chris. Thank you for that. Well done. It is indeed Saka. My light's been very temperamental up there. And believe it or not, I mean, tell me your opinion. Let me know what you think. Tag me. I think that Heart and Saka, although they're completely different sexes, I am aware of that, they actually have quite similar patterns from a distance, on first glimpse. What do you think? Heart and Saka, similar or not? Well, I definitely think they could be. They've got that sort of circle with the dot in the middle, which is how I always remember Heart. And I feel like Saka has a similar one. So yeah, Saka was the naughty hyena, my favourite of the male hyenas, who was of course after Hosana and smelling everywhere in case Hosana had some hidden food stashed away. So Hosana is in the drainage, I'm afraid. It's just not possible for us to boondabash through that drainage line. But he likes it in there, especially when it's chilly and cold like it is tonight. I've done quite well actually. I've not put my jacket on. But yes, the drainage will be the perfect place for him to get shelter until he is ready to hunt and have dinner for himself even. So we're just going to wander up through quarantine, another favourite area for all the prey species to gather at night time, as many of you know. So of course, prey equals predator, and you never know what may be lurking around quarantine. It's actually always good to spend some time going really, really slow around quarantine, because you never know what might be there. And that's exactly where we had the cheetah. Steve had the cheetah. Marcel and I were both just talking about it. I really do hope we could have some more cheetah on Juma. I think that would just be fantastic. But it's a small reserve. It's a small area compared to the Mara, for example. And it is dense, it is thick, and of course there's a high number of leopards and lions and hyenas, so it may not be the ideal place for cheetah to be, but obviously, selfishly, I would like them to be here. So good night everybody, that's it from me and, well, Marcel and I. We are going to send you back over to Trishala to close the show with her lions.
Yes, our lovely last minute lion. We've only got one left at the moment. The two males have made their way behind us. And I'm not sure where they went to, but I thought, hey, it's a last minute, so let us stay with this lovely lady here. Now, at first, she looked like Ridge Nose, but then she glanced away so quickly. Come on, look at us again. Nothing? No. Oh, she doesn't want her identity to be revealed. But she does look like one of the older lionesses. You can see there's lots of patchiness on her skin there as a result of whole... Oh, hello, hello, hello. That's a lovely image of her face there. Oh, always in infrared, I find it so much more difficult. And a wink at you too. But she is stunning, and I think it may be her, but I'm not sure at this moment. Either way, she's given us a wonderful last-minute lion, and let's not forget those two the Mangeni male and the Nkahuma male that had that close encounter with us, which was awesome. I will never forget that. I always remember these close encounters with lions. I even said to Darby, am I just lucky? Because every time I'm with him, we have these wonderful encounters. Anyway, it seems like we've come to that time. I'm glad we finally got to see those lions, even though it was very late. But remember that we had wonderful Hosana as well, and a few very pretty birds. Very cool. Thank you, lovely lady. Well, thank you all for your questions and your comments and everything else in helping us be. In the meantime, we'll see you tomorrow morning for Sunrise Safari.